Welcome back. You are tuned into the Labor Forum here at WRFG 89.3 FM. Welcome back. You are tuned into the Labor Forum here at WRFG 89.3 FM. And my name is Diane Mathlitz, and I'm actually going to probably do the majority of the questioning of our guests here for this particular segment. So seated at the table is Eileen Ford. Hi, Eileen.
Hi, hello.
She actually is the state coordinator of this campaign, a very big job, as well as, here she is in her uniform, so she just came from work.
Yep.
And then seated next to her is Stephanie Matthews. Stephanie is the Assistant Vice President of Local 77?
73.
73. I didn't look at my paper. And seated next to her is Eric Sloan, who's President of Local 73 of the National Association of Letter Carriers. Hi, Eric.
Hello, how you doing?
All right, so we're going to jump right into this. Actually, there's a fourth person here. He's seated way in the back. But Daniel Moskowitz is in the House, and he is now the labor liaison with the United Way of Greater Atlanta. And so he connects between the Atlanta North Georgia Labor Council and unions, and one of his jobs, I guess, is something like this campaign. Right here, it's how to connect community work that unions do with communities. Is that right, Daniel? Did I do good?
Exactly.
All right, so we'll have Daniel on when he gets his own time, but for now, he's just seated in the back listening. All right, so Eric, you want to start off by explaining to us what this Stamp Out Hunger campaign is and how many years it's been happening?
Thank you for the opportunity to come on board and help get the message out. The National Association of Letter Carriers, NALC, started this program in the early 1991. At the time, it started in like 10 cities as a test program. Since then, it has evolved into the largest one-day event, food drive collection event in the nation, where we have cities throughout, letter carriers throughout the nation go out and pick up food. At the moment, this is the 25th anniversary, where we're trying to, at the moment, the NLC has raised 1.5 billion, has of today's date, 1.5 billion pounds of food. Last year here in the local area, we raised over 290,000 pounds. So our goal is to surpass that. The food is collected by the letter carriers and is brought to a centralized location where it's distributed from there.
So let me just ask this question. When my letter carrier pulls up to my house, his truck is full. So I'm curious how it is that, and where, does this individual letter carrier put all this food? How does this work? Does anybody want to tell me how that happens?
You say as far as where the letter carrier placed the food?
Yeah, how does he get, how as he comes along to all the houses, is there room in his truck for all the mail and all the food? I'm trying to figure out whether he's...
That's a good question. That's a very good question. And that's one of the things that we as letter carriers that we have to adjust. We have to just, like I said, we know that this is coming. There's always, the food drive is always the second Saturday in May, right before Mother's Day. So while the letter carrier is out, 9 times out of 10, they adjust their trucks in the morning before they leave the station facility, the post office, where they can get the mail in and get the food distributed. If the carrier say they have so much food, and in some instances that happen, they'll come back to the station, unload the food, and then go back out on their route to finish delivering.
That's the way I could figure it. All right, so let me go ahead and ask another question then of Eileen about how, really about how it is that the union of letter carriers, the National Association of Letter Carriers, either saw, how is it that you saw that this is the campaign that letter carriers would do as opposed to any other group?
Well, letter carriers, we're keenly aware of what's going on in the community where we deliver mail. And we as letter carriers know what kind of circumstances our customers are living in, situations that, you know, put them in that place that they're in. That is one of the things that we're very observant of, and because of that, we know that there's a need out there for food assistance, especially this time of year. You know, we know that a lot, and plus our food pantries, our local food pantries, our churches, you know, we work together with them. They've indicated that this time of year is the best time of year to replenish and restock because donations that came in during Thanksgiving and Christmas are totally depleted. So that, in conjunction with working with them, that's how we've come across this. And as letter carriers, we've always, the National Association of Letter Carriers has always been involved in helping the community in one form or another, if it's collecting funds for the Muscular Dystrophy Association, if it's, whether it's the Carrier Alert Program for senior citizens. In times of need, we work with the Red Cross. So it's the letter carrier, we're always out there. We're there 6 days a week, in some cases 7 days a week now. We see what's going on, we know where the need is, we know what we need to do.
So Stephanie, I'm gonna ask you now to be very concrete. What is it that our listeners who are, maybe some of them never really thought about this, I mean, they may have gotten the notice in their mailbox, but they didn't really think about how they could contribute. So what is it that you're actually looking for? Because you've got to be kind of careful about what comes in these bags and packages or out on the street for the letter carriers to pick up. So what is it you want our folks to put out by their mailbox tomorrow, not tomorrow, this coming Saturday?
Okay, what we're suggesting is, first of all, no bottles. If you can refrain from putting bottles out, please don't put the bottles out. But if that's all you have, we'll take that too. But what we're asking for is cereal, stuff like cereal, pasta, the pasta sauce, rice, peanut butter, any kind of canned good. And the dry food, like the beans and stuff like that. And what we're asking, one thing we didn't mention, if someone is going to be out of town, leave the food out there this week. You can leave it out there early. The letter carrier will still pick it up and take it back to the post office and get it sorted. So if you're leaving before Saturday, please put it out before you leave.
So I'm curious, I know I've done this many a year, and I go look at my pantry and I try to figure out, all right, what do people, do people really want green beans, or would they really rather? So I guess what I'm asking is, you really, people can put almost anything from the standpoint of something that's maybe a little more, not as common, like asparagus. or some other vegetable.
You'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised.
You'd be
So
surprised.
let's ask, where does the food go?
The food it's distributed throughout several locations. It's picked up and taken back to the local post office. At that time, the postal service has trucks that come pick it up and take it to different locations. It might go up to the plant. It might go to from there it comes to the food bank, the different food bank or community organizations that it's distributed out to.
All right, so now the letter carriers who worked on Saturday, picking it all up, when does this pickup and taking to the food bank take place? And then when it goes there you are, big bins of stuff, so the food bank needs helpers too, am I right?
You're absolutely correct.
Absolutely.
And what we're asking with this is also, let me say this, you don't have to wait for the letter carriers to pick it up. If you got a post office in your area, like Stephanie said, you can take the food to the post office. You can take it to the post office and they'll have bins to place it in, and it'll get picked up from there. But what we're asking for volunteers to help show up this coming Saturday, the 13th, at the Atlanta Food Bank. And that's located at 732 Joseph B. Lowry Boulevard, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318. Again, that's 732 Joseph B. Lowry Boulevard, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318. We're asking for volunteers to come and help load the trucks. We're asking for you to show up anywhere between 6 and 6:30, 6 to 7, so you can come out, and once the trucks help in, we will need help alone because we're expecting to surpass our goal from last year.
That's really an impressive. Now, let me ask, so I'm going to go back to Eileen now, since you are the state coordinator. So what is the response, or how does it work in rural areas? Or, that's a different group of letter carriers, right?
Not necessarily. It is. I mean, this includes the National Association of Rural Carriers as well, and anybody who's a carrier. So we all work together on this.
Okay.
In rural areas, it's usually the churches, the food pantries, the food banks that in that direct local community benefit from this. And you'd be surprised at how much positive response we get, especially we have in a lot of these rural offices or smaller offices where postmasters are leading this. They don't have a city carrier at the office, but the postmaster leads this process and makes sure that they get the volunteers set up to help their carriers, and they have contacted their church, and that everybody's just so thankful and so grateful because, like I said, this time of year is where people are struggling.
Well, one of the things is also the end of the school year.
Absolutely.
And so you have a lot of children now who maybe get breakfast or lunch at school, who will now be at a home where perhaps there's not that much on the shelves and in the fridge. So
And it's not just the kids. I mean, you'd be surprised. We have seen an increase in food assistance over the last 3-4 years of senior citizens needing assistance, also military veterans that are coming back. So we see that's been a gradual increase, and every year the number gets higher and higher for that demographic as well.
All right, so we have just a couple of minutes left, and I'm trying to think of another question. Paul, you got one?
I just wanted to make sure about Saturday, if you could give that information again about where and when for the food bank.
Sure. For the food bank, the Atlanta Food Bank, we're asking volunteers to report to show up between 6 and 7 at 732 Joseph B. Lowry Boulevard, and that's Atlanta, Georgia, 30318. Also, if there are any questions pertaining to the food drive, I can be reached at area code 404-284-4222.
And the only other question I had real quick, Diane, is if you could say just real briefly a little bit about the letter carriers in Atlanta or in Georgia, how many members you have and how long you've been around. I know you have an office on Candler Road, right?
Yes, my office is located at 1842 Candler Road. I've been with the Postal Service and the NLC for a total of 17 years. And as branch president, I have about 1,700 active letter carriers and about 500 retirees.
Well, let's both you. So, Stephanie, how long have you been a letter carrier?
I've been a letter carrier 29 and a half years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Eileen, how about you?
21 years this August.
So, this is a job very clearly that you like and you stick with.
Yes.
Yep.
And then part of it, because I'm a retired auto worker, part of it is not just the satisfaction of the job, but it's also the fact that you know that you have protection on the job, health and safety, decent wages, pensions, vacation, health care, all those kinds of things which make even a job, when you were doing your slogan that you got, and it's hotter than heck, colder and whatever,
Yeah.
raining and all that, that you're out there still delivering the mail.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to say that thank you so much for this interview.
Well, thank you
So
for having us.
We're
Thank
very
you.
happy to have had you here, and we hope we can have you back again.
Thank you for all you do.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, so we're going to have a, I saw your mouth open, Eric. Did you want to
Yes,
say one
I
more
just
thing?
want to close, and I just want to say thank you. I want to say thanks, even though this is spearheaded by the National Association of Letter Carriers. We couldn't do it without help of the United States Postal Service. They help with the logistics, the trucks, and they help with equipment and stuff. So I want to take a minute to give a shout out and say thanks to the United States Postal Service for their help. And also, we couldn't do it without the community. We couldn't collect the food if it wasn't for the people. The people, we need the people. We need you. So we want to say thanks to their people, and hopefully, like I say, this coming Saturday, don't hesitate. If you got some non-perishable items, go ahead and put them out and take them to your post office, and we will get it collected. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll go home and figure out what I'm putting in my bag tonight.